Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Howdy, 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 and welcome to the sunny beaches of Long Beach. And here on Pine Avenue, it's Long Beach in these beautiful Formula 3.5 Alpine Renault Machines Championships here on iRacing. I am Austin. I'm not Tim Cox. I'm joined by Sebastian Bosher-Williams. Aaron Smith is a ghost who's not actually here. We are joined by not Jamie Fluke in the production booth. It is John Robertson. We're going to slowly fix that over time, but you're here live watching Apex Racing TV. Sebastian, how are you feeling today?
Oh, I'm feeling ecstatic and excited to get racing underway here at Long Beach. It's an amazingly interesting circuit, a fairly new addition to iRacing as well, a little bit older than 1 week ago at Fuji, but a really difficult circuit. It's going to test the drivers' control, their ability to keep it out of the barriers. And, you know, as Eddie Samborski, I was having a chat with him after the race, was saying, if you're not on first here, you're in a lot of trouble heading down to turn 1. It's going to be, you know, such a hot spot for action. So it's going to be all about survival today. And that's when, you know, Formula 3.5 is at its best, because it means that you have to be fast and safe. And that's a hard combination of traits to have over 1 lap. So, Austin, I'm thoroughly looking forward to this race today. And, well, Formula 3.5 never fails to deliver.
And you did say it, those words. It's actually a driver academy here in America that I've attended, and I do say safe is fast indeed. And it is 100% true, especially around any American street circuit and any street circuit in the world. You got the rough roads of America in here. We like our roads a little bit bumpy and a little bit characteristic, so we don't billiard table our road before every single race. Baku. But yeah, Long Beach is a very rough track. These Formula 3.5 cars are going to be dealing with a lot of bumps and bangs throughout the ride, but it's going to be a lot of fun for us. It might be a race of attrition, because I know Formula 3 was here last week, and it kind of was a race of attrition in a way, especially in the IGB Fun race, where I think there was about 20 cars retired. And as Jolyon Palmer says, you always have to be alert on a street circuit, and these drivers are definitely going to have to be.
You stole that from me, Austin. I was just about to come to that famous Jolyon Palmer quote.
You posted it in the chat, and I said it. You gave me the assist.
All right, well, we'll go with that half points awarded to me then. You're right, Long Beach is all about attrition, and the Formula 3 1 week ago really proves that point. So it's all going to be about, especially in qualifying, that second lap, building yourself up to really take advantage of all the available circuit, get as close to the walls as you dare. You know, Sam Borski was saying that, you know, all of his practice really this week was going to be focused on qualifying. His race practice was almost irrelevant. It's all about qualifying here today, and that's not something that you tend to get in a Formula 3.5 race on iRacing very often. You normally say that qualifying is fairly unimportant, but such is the difficulty with the run down to turn one, with the opening lap around here, that qualifying is very much the name of the game today. And certainly Sam Borski, Stewart and Sieg giving themselves, Austin, a great opportunity and a great place to start this race from at the moment.
It really is, and starting up at front, the first two rows going to be having a lot of fun. That second row, Sieg Shirakawa right now, they could have a little bit of a surprise into turn one. They could get a much better start than the opening rows and stick their nose onto the inside. And if they could get that 3 wide into turn one, that could be advantage for that second row and everybody else. But if they try that, oh man, I expect our interview room to look like the backstage of a WWE show, because that will be nuts if somebody tries that. Sergio Macias jumps up into third place, the driver of the number 2 machine. So it's currently Eddie Samborski and Josh Stewart on the front row, and it's glad to see Josh Stewart back on the track.
Always nice to see a familiar face back on the racing circuit, and what a track really to make your comeback after a few races off. Or going to be so important. And you know, we were talking about that run down to turn one, but let's not let's not forget how difficult it is to start around here. Standing starts in the Formula 3.5 series, as I'm sure all viewers are aware of. So that means you've got to build out, you've got to let the clutch out, you've got to manage your traction at the start. But you're also on a curve around here. It's bumpy, it's not got a lot of grip, a lot of painted lines. It's so tricky, it's deceptively hard around this circuit. So, you know, I don't envy the drivers actually out on the circuit. I think once we get underway, lap 2 or 3, then it starts to become a fairly standard Formula 3.5 race. And then also, Austin, if anybody has to come into the pits for repairing any damage, that pit entrance isn't the easiest. Actually, the pit exit as well isn't necessarily the easiest or the most signposted exit in sim racing. So this track is fraught with danger. I think the safest place to be is honestly in the commentary booth. So I think that's where you and me, Austin, have definitely picked the golden straw, because we are not having to deal with the circuit today.
Yes, I heard this quote. I was watching an old Supercross race. It was when they were racing and Ricky Carmichael lapped the entire field. The place is just muddy as up always, and the commentators picked up, yeah, I'm glad I'm not on track, and I'm glad I didn't pick up motorcycle racing in the first place. I feel like this is that same situation. We're both glad we're not on track. We don't have to deal with this track, because some drivers say that this track is like going through a mosh pit and you're holding a really well topped off beer.
You know, Austin, sometimes I can follow your train of thought. Not today. I think Long Beach has slightly gotten to me already, which is a little bit of a worrying sign, because the race hasn't yet gotten underway. Qualifying, though, was a fairly subdued qualifying. 3 drivers did not get a lap time. Marcus Alacron did get a lap time on the board, but got it invalidated, Austin.
Yeah, Eddie Samborski is starting up on pole, followed by Josh Stewart, Sergio Macias, and Jason Sieg, followed by Yuki Shirakawa, Ben Holko, Dennis Cornu, Ian Keeman, Cal Young, Daniel Gallas, Simon Graff, and Miguel Crespo in 12th place. Behind them is Marcos Alacron, Yaya Enesandkin, and James Mello. At the end of our 15-car group, we have 15 total signups, even 15-15 split. But yeah, the name of the game is keeping the cars clean and out of the wall. And out of the flower bed too, because those flowers take a lot of time to set up.
They really, yeah, I mean, let's not dispraise the Gardeners already. Another thing to watch out, curbs are really high around here, certainly through turns 3 and turns 5 and 6 as well. So if you get some floor damage, expect to be really vulnerable on the straight. It is all about survival. I know we keep on sort of harping on that point, Austin, but it's so true. That's what will be going through the driver's mind. It's not about position. It's not about where you start on the track. It's all about keeping it out of the walls, finding your rhythm as quickly as possible. Do not go anywhere. This promises to be one of the most enthralling Formula 3.5 races that we've had this season by far.
That final sector, that final double hairpin type sector, the long double left-hander followed by that tight right-hander. Get a car on the inside, it's going to be very insane situation. We're going to find out who's got Long Beach and who doesn't, and it's a great start by Josh Stewart as he takes Eddie Samborski immediately onto the inside, and immediately into the lead goes Josh Stewart. Samborski's challenging onto the inside. He's pushing Samborski down low. But look on the outside. There's Yuki Shirakawa trying to hold it around the outside. He gets a little bit of bad exit though, and he gets retaken by Sergio Macias as we head through the fountain. This time by Josh Stewart leading out Eddie Samborski, Sergio Macias, and Yuki Shirakawa. We got a car in the fountain and in the flowers.
And one driver already displeasing the Gardeners then so early on in the day. That was Simon Raff and Daniel Gallas, I do believe, the two cars facing the wrong way through turn 3. Disastrous start from Samborski, was harping on 1 week ago. It was all about staying in the race lead. He's got it all to do. Josh Stewart, a great start, managed to get the clutch just right, pulled away, had so much pace down towards turn 1, a lot of bravery. So too did Yuki Shirakawa, trying to make it around the outside of turn 1, was firmly shown the door. So Shirakawa though still up 1 position, he's in 4th, but a great start. Shirakawa side by side heading into the final hairpin. Oh, Samborski's round!
Oh, Samborski, that final hairpin, too much mustard off the exit, and around goes Eddie Samborski. These past few races have not gone his way. He did win at Fuji, but that mistake is piling on top of the other mistakes. Lap 1 mistakes that Eddie Samborski has been in or been a part of. And oh, he's down in 12th place, and he must be kicking himself after that.
He looked simply like he just applied too much throttle on the exit of turn 11, the final hairpin. We have a look at the replay. This was the start, Austin. Massive gaggle headed down into turn 1. Surprisingly, they all managed to make it through turn 2 without any form of massive incident.
Oh, well, there's that first big incident. That is a lot of flowers that are, well, being torn up right there. Daniel Gallas I believe got hit from behind heading into the fountain curve.
He did. So Simone Graf just got a little bit too hot under the collar heading into turn 2, ended up into the back, and this, Austin, is what happened to Eddie Samborski. And I think what we're going to see is to quote you, Austin, too much mustard.
Yeah, too much mustard indeed, and oh, it's so easy to do. So easy to do.
Yuki Shirakawa then sets the new fastest lap of the race. That will awake everybody behind him. Currently runs in 3rd after Samborski's mistake. Alacron under pressure from Young as they head into the braking zone of turn 1. Stewart, though, is just running away. Samborski already on that recovery drive to the inside. Gets past Mallow, but Samborski's got it all to do, Austin. He's 14 seconds off the race lead. Stewart is lapping quicker as well. Samborski will be lucky, I think, to get into the top 5, because Long Beach isn't necessarily a circuit that you would associate with being able to make overtakes easily.
Yeah, but then attrition comes into play, and that can happen anytime and anywhere. We right on board of Ben Holko chasing out Yuki Shirakawa down that straightaway into the brakes and into my favorite part of the track, this final sector, this double left-hander. Yes, it's in a parking lot. Then he slammed onto the brakes into this tight hairpin. You see a little bit of lock up ahead. Full steering lock on Ben Holko to make that corner actually made. And then down the front straightaway. And if you actually driven on this road in real life, it is so nice, and it's actually pretty banked in that corner.
I can imagine. I can only wish to be one day driving around the streets of Long Beach.
I highly do not suggest it. It is not an enjoyable experience.
You made it sound so fun though, Austin. I'm sure it's got some advantages. Cornu really struggling through the apex of turn 5, really off camber, another corner around the circuit that is off camber, and Alacron starting to seize on Cornu's mistake. As I was alluding to, Austin, there's not many places to make the overtakes. It's sort of down into turn 1, maybe into turn 8 if you're feeling lucky, but it's all just about staying behind the car and almost pressurizing the driver ahead into making a mistake. It's
all about pressure here. This corner is a good spot for a potential overtake, but this corner, this hairpin, is a really big opportunity. And I think Yuki Shirakawa's around. Yes, he is. And we got another car around. That's Dennis Cornu. And it is a smoke fest here at the hairpin. And it ain't a barbecue.
That was 2 separate incidents. Oh, Cornu reversing, and he's managed to impede the driver behind him. That's Aiken involved. He'll make his way past Cornu.
Actually. He's letting him by. He knew that he kind of three-point turned himself into the driving line, and Yaya Ennis Ankin got in his way. But it was first with Yuki Shirakawa, and I feel like it's the same ththing that happened to Eddie Samborski, just too much mustard.
No contact.
Actually, no, he got contact right there. Then behind him, we got another contact, and then it was just tires squealing and smoke shows and everything. And, well, the hairpin takes 2 drivers having incidences. Let's right on board of Ben Holko. And, yeah, we saw this from the outside shot. Let's right on board. Oh, yeah, that's a serious first touch. I feel like the first touch, he could have got away with it, but then the second touch finished the job.
Yeah, it's certainly.
And look at that front wing. The front wing of Ben Holko's is damaged. It looks like an extremely bent potato chip.
And that's going to really hamper him down on the straights. You need a front-end grip around the circuit. You need it more than any form of grip around many circuits. It's such a tight, twisty circuit, and you can see there, you're right, Austin, heavy damage to the front right of his front wing. Jason Sieg then looking at maybe potentially capitalizing on that damage, making his way up into third. A lot of apex curb as well, taken to good measure for Ben Holko. And now, when you were saying, Austin, Eddie Samborski needs a little bit of attrition to make his way up the field. Well, up ahead of him, he's got his long-term rival, Yuki Shirakawa, and those two are separated by 0.3 of a second. So they're not battling for the race lead, but they are battling out on the circuit, and I'm sure fireworks are certainly on order at the moment.
Yeah, certainly fireworks, and I know a lot of people will be looking after this fight, kind of like it was Ross Chastain and Denny Hamlin at Gateway this season, which was a very hilarious situation where they just couldn't get out of each other's way. As well, these two are going to be late breaking by Samborski, almost getting into the back of Yuki Shirakawa. It's going to be very interesting, and also going to has to go Crespo up ahead of him. And I think Samborski knows that, and he might just be backing it off just a little bit. There goes Shirakawa, setting himself up for around the outside move. Going to have to beat him in the brake zone, and yes, he does. Shirakawa right in the needle, making a fantastic move right there to get back into 8th place.
That was crucial for Yuki Shirakawa to make the move. He's put Crespo in between him and Samborski. Samborski is stuck behind Miguel Crespo, at least for the next few corners. Next realistic overtaking opportunity might be into turn 8, which is a corner and a bit away.
Or right now, hello, Eddie Samborski, and oh no! Samborski picked his nose onto the inside. Crespo turned in like Samborski was not there. Didn't lead the move. Samborski into the wall and into the air, and Crespo around as well. Crespo damaged rear wing, and well, I think we're going to be hearing about that if Eddie wants to interview, because that was a big incident, and I feel like that will be on Miguel right there. Because it's a very unusual spot to make the overtake, but Eddie really telegraphed that move, and he was just squeezed off right there.
I'm going to disagree with you, Austin. Don't tend to do that in commentary. I don't think Samborski was entitled to much space down at the apex of turn 6. I do apologise. You're never going to make the move there. And Samborski, I mean, even if he was entitled, why go for the move? Why try it? He's got so much pace. He's the quickest driver. And see, he's getting caught out now, almost being rear-ended. Almost rear-ended Mallow. Mallow pulled across after making the overtake. Samborski, he just needed to wait a few corners. He had the pace. He was fighting, he was going to make the move, and it's just unnecessary to send it to the inside. And you know, Samborski is going to be really feeling the effects of that for the rest of the race, and looks like he's severely damaged. I'd be surprised as well, Austin, if he hasn't picked up some suspension damage. You don't tend to see cars flying up through the air without getting significant damage.
Unless you're Fernando Alonso and escape a meatball flag. I'm not salty at all.
Well, at least it wasn't the two Alpines crashing into each other, Ala, today.
Or Aston Martins.
Yeah, it was teammates. Certainly, rule 1 of motor racing, of course, don't hit your teammate. Rule 2, maybe don't take flight during the race. I think we might have to add that to the motorsport book. Josh Stewart, though, look at the great job that he's doing. I think I might have heard Macias just touch the wall ever so slightly. He might have gotten away with it. It might just be a little bit of netcode damage, a little bit of a disagreement between what he sees on his screen and what the server sees. But just proving that Macias is really pushing out there, Austin, and is starting to close that gap. So we might be in for a good race battle here.
Yeah, Sergio is closing that gap, and as you can say, he is flirting with disaster near the walls and causing some of our internets to, do an internets and just kind of have a little disagreement. He's really close to the wall, basically. But yeah, these two are closing in on each other, and it's going to be a long-fought fight between them, and who is going to flinch first.
Well, flinching, isn't it? It's all about who makes the mistake, who feels the pressure. Stewart has got the gap, 1.7 seconds or so he's not under threat from, or not threatening giving the slipstream to Macias. But what Stewart has got is that looming feeling that the driver behind is starting to gain just a little bit. And then what you typically do is you start pushing a little bit more, which not only increases your risk of finding yourself facing the wrong way or into the wall, but it also starts to heat the tyres up, and you start to end up in this vicious cycle of you push a little bit, the tyres increase in temperature, you start sliding more, the temperature increases because you're sliding, and it just gets more and more difficult to control the car. So Stewart, he really needs to avoid that at this phase of the race. Macias hasn't got a lot of pressure. All he has to do is drive as fast as he can, catch up to the back of Stewart and start pressurizing him. So I certainly prefer to be in Macias' shoes, but a little bit late under brakes through turn 9, and that will give Stewart a little bit more comfort from the cockpit.
And Stewart and Macias separated 1.5 seconds. There was an overtake or a attempted pass down the order. I feel like he slowly missed it, but I feel like Yuki Shirakawa or Marcos Alicron are in a fight, as well as Jason Sieg and Ian Keenman.
Just heading through, Keenman, I see on the circuit up to 5th twice. Had a brief issue with my timings there, Austin, so I wasn't quite listening to what you said. I was having, though, a look at the lap times between Stewart and Macias. Macias finding a little bit of pace, certainly through the final sector, and that's where you start to catch the car ahead. That's where you can get the run down the back straight. So this race is just getting better by the lap. Cannot wait for these two to get closer and start really fighting in earnest.
As our leaders continue to fight, their fights throughout the field as well here under this sunny sky here in Cali.
Sorry, Austin, I'm having some terrible computer issues, so I'm going to have to hand over commentary to you for just a few moments.
Oh no, I feel like I will. Okay, roger that. Well, as we carry on live here on Apex Racing TV, let's check out this fight for 4th place. Jason Sieg versus Ben Holko. Fight for 3rd, and Sieg closing down in the braking zone as just getting close to the wall as Ben Holko. Remember, Ben had that issue and I believe has that front wing damage, so Jason Sieg has clawed his way back to Ben Holko and does have that advantage in the corners. Can he get a better run throughout the corner and make that overtake work? We fly down on towards Pine Avenue, underneath the bridge, and onto this right-hander, this long seaside way straightaway right past the convention center. Under
the bridge we go. Jason Sieg catching up to the back of Ben Holko. Holko, of course, got that damage from earlier on, will be really hurting his tyre wear. He'll just get slower as the race develops. You almost can avoid feeling the effects of front-end damage for a few laps or so because the tyres take over. See, though, a little bit wary, a little bit wild on the exit of the final hairpin as Samborski heads into the pits, and I wonder, is that Eddie Samborski's race done and dusted? And we'll be seeing back out on the circuit.
I do not think we're going to be seeing Eddie Samborski onto the circuit. He might be stopping, and he's probably frustrated with that. I can guarantee you the first thing he's going to do is look back at that incident.
As you would. I mean, that's the great advantage of sim racing, is you can look back at the incidents, you can see it from any angle, unlike real world where you're only defined by the cameras that captured the incident, and even then you've got some more issues that go along with that. Here you can analyze it all, and I'm sure Samborski's doing that. That's Alacron facing the wrong way.
Yeah, and you and I, we both had our differencing opinions, though I had a more American take to it because I was, once again, I'm thinking of Long Beach as a IndyCar track and the IndyCar way of rule book making, where blocking across the nose is kind of frowned upon. But European stance, Eddie's fault. American stance, Marcos's fault. Probably a racing incident overall.
Yeah, we'll split the difference somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean. This is Alacron, hit the curb on the apex of turn 5, spun the car around. Shirakawa, oh so close to making contact. Yuki Shirakawa has fairly been in the wars today, and that, I think he would have seen his race flash before his eyes when he encountered Marcus Alacron facing the wrong way. Race of attrition certainly around Long Beach, but you don't tend to think of the drivers, Alacron, Shirakawa, Samborski, the ones making the mistakes, in Cornu as well to add into that mix. But Alacron then once again on the recovery drive, it's all just about lapping away and trying to manage your tyre temperatures as well.
And once again, 2 weeks in a row, I'm gonna have to say Pacific Ocean. We're on Cali. Pacific.
Yeah, but I'm not. But Britain isn't near the near the Pacific Ocean. Yeah, that's what I said. As we discussed last week, do not get me started on geography because I've got no idea, almost as little as idea as how to race. See Miguel Crespo under pressure from Simone
This is a big incident or mistake. Crespo dealing with a lot of loss of downforce, locked up the brakes, heading down towards Seaside Way, and letting Graf by. Ben Holko challenging around the outside, but it's not going to happen. Jason Sings finds his way down low and up into 3rd place.
Ben Holko then really starting to feel the effects of that front wing damage. As I said, it's only going to get worse for him, and now he's got to add a little bit of dirty air into that measure as well. Would not like to be sitting in the cockpit of Ben Holko's Formula 3.5 car at the moment. It must be feeling oh so difficult to drive. See, runs so wide through turn 6. That is understeer in action. Sergio Macias still gaining as well, Austin, on Josh Stewart. That battle not gone away. That pressure that Stewart is feeling has not let up at at any point in the last 10 laps or so. So Stewart, that just builds within you. And Macias knows that. He knows that Josh Stewart is feeling that pressure, although Stewart responds supremely, sets the new fastest lap of the race, and the first man today into 1 minute 8.
Yeah, first into the 1 minute 8 as the times are starting to fall. Everything is all rubbered up out there on track as we are getting ready to rock and roll for the second half of this race here at Long Beach. Sergio Macias, 1.3 seconds now behind Josh Stewart. He's slowly gaining on him.
He is, and actually was gaining on him fairly consistently, apart from that last lap where Stewart put in the new fastest lap of the race. Macias there rubbing up against the wall on the exit of turn 8, really pushing the extremities of the track. You can get away with it, but you don't really want to be doing that too often. iRacing and its damage model is never kind, especially when you're at the top of the field. It almost feels like it's a little bit harsher than when you're lower down, when you've got more at stake. Macias quick through that final sector, although Stewart, it gets such a good run out of turn 11, out of that final hairpin, down towards turn 1.
He's getting a 10th on him. On that, just that exit alone, and a new fastest lap. It's nearly identical lap times that they just set, but Josh Stewart and Sergio Macias are currently the fastest cars out there on track. And Josh Stewart, with that final sector advantage right there, gave him that 108.85 compared to the 108.88. And keeps him in the lead. And that lead is
that was a
big mistake. Macias drops down a few tenths.
That could really end Macias' race if he's not careful. That was a huge hit to the left-hand side of his car, and you cannot afford to do that too often. We were talking how much this race is about attrition, about keeping the car clean, and those sorts of mistakes can really build up to hurt you in the long term. It looks like Sergio Macias has got away with it, other than losing a tenth or two, but another hit like that could see him, you know, not even finish this race, let alone be still able to battle for the overall race win.
Now Sergio is definitely going to be hurting for that pace back, and he's going to be pushing it back. So we're closing in on 10 laps to go, and yeah, you can see 3/10 slower that time by. That little mistake coming out of the fountain section, really, really painful to happen. So we're looking at James Malo, and right ahead of him goes Miguel Crespo around. And Crespo, he's been struggling with that car ever since that incident with Eddie Samborski. He goes into the pits.
Miguel Crespo had that damage from that Samborski incident, had a lot of rear end or rear wing damage, and I think also we're going to see that really play into consideration as we head towards turn 8.
Yeah, it's just too much speed, and the back end of that car doesn't have all the grip. And that car has been very rough for Miguel. So both him and Eddie Samborski are our first retirements of this race.
I can't believe we're saying that once again. Eddie Samborski, a retiree from the race. I wonder if fireworks will fly like they did a few weeks ago when Samborski had that opening lap incident in Bathurst. You know, Samborski just being unlucky this season, but it's been supremely quick as well. Macias really proving that damage did not hinder his pace whatsoever. Sets a new fastest lap of the race, over to 8.777. So Jason Sieg, well, beats me just as I was saying it. 1 minute 8.751. And Sieg, he's a little bit adrift. He needs some quicker lap times. But if Matt Stewart and Macias really battle for the next 9 laps or so, we could maybe just about see Jason Sieg in the battle for the race win. I think I might slightly be clutching at straws, Austin, but, well, what else can you do at the moment?
Clutch at straws and try to find that winning lotto card.
I knew we placed it somewhere in the commentary booth. I'll continue to look for it.
It's apparently somewhere in Cali.
Well, that's me out. I mean,
yeah.
We've got the Pacific, the Atlantic, all of the oceans in between.
The lotto is an American thing, so you probably don't know about that news. In short,
Jason Sieg.
In short, somebody could buy a Formula One team next year.
Well, but can they afford the catering as well?
It's $2 billion they won.
Yes. Good, Josh Stewart still being pressurized by Sergio Macias. Welcome to catering chat here on Apex Racing TV. Jason Sieg, he's really found some pace at the moment, Austin, hasn't he? You know, the new fastest lap of the race once again, but Sieg just is finding it a little bit too late in the day. 10 seconds drift from this battle for the race lead. It's a little bit redundant, but Sieg proving that if the cards were slightly different, he could be up and fighting for the race win.
He certainly could, and somebody who's currently looking at catering right now, well, he's catering to our lap time boards. It is Jason Sieg with a new fastest lap, 108.7. Stewart and Macias are 1.1 seconds, and they are soon going to be catering our eyeballs with this great fight.
I love your segues, Austin, always a fan. Josh Stewart there locking up through the final hairpin. Gives a little bit more of an incentive for Macias to close a 10th or 2. Macias is tantalizingly close to that 1 second advantage. It all comes down as well, we haven't mentioned it yet, but of course we've got 8 uses of DRS like we have at every single racetrack. Macias to do fastest lap of the race. First man into 1:08.6s. C could not respond. So couldn't was Josh Stewart. So Macias is the pace setter on the track. How many DRS uses does he have left? Does he have a little bit more, a few more than Josh Stewart up ahead of him? This battle will develop. 7 laps to go, Austin. It's anybody's game who will get the race win here today.
is a toss-up between these two. Sergio, he has the pace. He's closing in on Jason Stewart, but Jason Stewart has the track position. I gotta say, it's gonna be between these two, and whoever has the elbows out as hard as they want it. Sergio is definitely going to be charging as hard as he can, as Josh is going to be defending as hard as he can to keep that lead. But Josh doesn't have to defend as hard as he can as he usually would have to on a regular circuit. But here on this street circuit, pretty much the track is doing that for you. As we saw a little bit of a lockup in that final sector, I feel like Sergio is going to be closing in on Josh Stewart and not making that move until that final corner. And we're going to have a last lap, last corner chance for an overtake and the victory.
I think your crystal ball there in the commentary booth, Austin, is completely correct. It's all going to be about that final lap, that final hairpin. And interestingly, Macias is quicker on the entrance. He's able to take more speed in. He compromises his mid to late corner, but really you only need apex at entry speed if you are making the move. So Josh Stewart needs to be aware. He needs to almost get out of his comfort zone if it does come to a battle. But Macias has had a great first sector. He's got that gap now well below the 1 second margin. Josh Stewart as well, I think, was into the wall there on the apex of turn 8 for good measure. And this is Sergio Macias' best opportunity so far this race to get the race win. As he heads onto the brakes for turn 8, Josh Stewart has almost got to disregard the last 22 laps and just focus on keeping Sergio Macias behind him, which, judging by Macias' pace, is going to be easier said than done.
It certainly is. As we look at them right now, 9/10 separates them as they're in the final stages of this race. DRS being used down that straightaway by Sergio, and I believe Josh, he was using DRS on these opening laps to stay ahead of everybody else behind him. So I feel like Sergio, though, is using DRS. Josh Stewart is just waiting for the moment to use DRS as a defensive mechanism. But yeah, 7/10 separating them. It's getting to that point, and it's getting to it's certainly getting to that point. It's getting exciting over here, as the only fight on the track is actually this fight for the lead. So they're not leaving this at all.
We were sort of talking about, how this we're going to have battles up and down the field. That's sort of fallen away. We've been so good to see Shirakawa and Samborski come through the field together. Alas, that was not to be. But well, if you can't have battles up and down the field, well, at least we can have a battle for the race win. Macias then finally gets a chance to be within a second down the back straight. Last lap, he lost it all, lost 3/10 through the final corner. Stewart into the 1:09. Macias still well within the 1:08. So that's 2/10 to Macias' advantage through turn 1. This is where Sergio Macias really is quicker than Josh Stewart. He can just place the car where he wants to, and Stewart just seems to be chasing the front end through the first sector. Could that play dividends into this race? I wonder. Macias once again tantalizingly, disastrously close to that outside wall on the exit of turn 5. Macias really needs to rein in, because that, as we were discussing earlier, could cost him a chance at a race win here today, Austin.
Eddie's actually told me that he wasn't actually going for a move. He wasn't expecting Miguel to break that early, and it just caught him off guard. So that's what caused the incident. So it was Eddie's fault. And it wasn't a attempt for a pass. It was just a mistiming. A unfortunate timing between those two. So very unfortunate for both those drivers, and we'll see them next week here on Apex Racing TV. But currently, our eyes are focused on this fight for the lead between Josh and Sergio right now. 8:10 separates them, and look at that nearly identical lap time separating these two drivers.
Exactly what we want to see. Macias isn't really able to do much with the slipstream. I thought once he got into that 1 second window, he'd be a little bit quicker, a little bit able, or a little bit, he'd have more ability to get closer, but that just isn't the case. He's sort of sitting around this 5 to 7/10 gap between himself and Josh Stewart. Stewart, though, is, sometimes struggles with closing out a race. He's a driver that maybe uses the tyres a little bit more in the earlier phases of the race. Gets a great start, gets away from the pack, but then really has to rely on some grip that maybe he doesn't necessarily have in the latter stages of the race. Well, Macias is known to be really good with his tyre management, so that might just play another factor into this race as well. Macias wandering a little bit through the apex of turn 10, through the final hairpin. This is where Stewart has just been a little bit quicker. I think it's Macias onto the DRS. He's gaining quite a lot down this back straight. Maybe Austin setting himself for a move up towards turn 1.
It really is, and it is, well, it certainly is. Everyone's closing in on each other. Half a second separates them, and a few more opportunities for Sergio to make that move. And Josh Stewart made a mistake throughout the fountain turn. There was a slow car ahead of him. I feel like he just locked up the wheels just slightly through there. We saw the smoke. I thought that was from the fountain, the flower bit, but no, that was his tires. 3 tenths now. And I feel like I'm going to have to fast forward that prediction from the last lap to this lap because Sergio is on the hunt.
That was, I think Josh Stewart was caught out by the back marker of Yaha Aiken there through the apex of turn 2, but that's given a huge opportunity to Macias now. He just needs to keep it on the road. He needs to be calm, clean and concise, and maybe by the time he heads towards turn 1, he could be alongside or even past Josh Stewart and into the race lead.
Stewart using DRS out of that corner to get that straight line speed. Sergio right on his tail. Half a second separates them. He's getting a little bit of a draft, but he's actually fallen by. Sergio's not using DRS, and now that surplus DRS that Josh has been saving up is coming into play. Back into the fountain with 2 laps to go between these two. More drivers just sitting out on the side of the track. I saw another car that just went a lap down. I think that was Yuki Shirakawa at the exit of turn 1, well, the entry of turn 1, the exit of the pit lane in the runoff area, just parked right there and just let them two by, and that's probably a smart move. Nobody wants to get into these cars' way as we run down Sunset Way.
I think that might have been Dennis Cornu getting out of the way. Of course, Cornu really been in the wars in today's race.
Yes,
how bumpy the braking zone is towards turn 8. Macias really struggling. Did well, actually, to keep the front tyres from locking up. We're going to head around the final corner. Austin, we're going to get your famous line in a few moments' time, but do not go anywhere.
Yep, they're coming out of that final corner, and that is Ben Holko going slow. I am Keeman down towards the inside and making the move. I am Keeman up into 4th place as it is white flag. 1 more lap to go for Josh Stewart and Sergio Macias as they are separated by half a second. They fly through the fountain and across the aquarium and back onto that main road before they pull off onto Pine Avenue. And Sergio, he is closing. He is looking for that move. But Josh Stewart, he's got that 3/10 advantage. Who's going to get the better exit out of here? We saw one move last lap. Are we going to be seeing it again? As they fly underneath all these bridges, defending deeply onto the inside is Josh Stewart. And now the final sectors. It is Josh Stewart leading out Sergio. Sergio on the tail. Is he going to go deep into the hairpin? Yes, he is, but on the outside, a little bit of a lockup. It was defended beautifully, and it is going to go to Josh Stewart.
Macias tried all he could on that final lap, just didn't have enough time, and it will be Josh Stewart that crosses the line to win the race. Got that race win, really, didn't he, on the start? And Macias, though, hustled and hassled him all race long. Jason C comes home in 3rd. But that was a remarkably clean race. I know the race isn't necessarily over yet, Austin, but a remarkably clean race around Long Beach. Only a few incidents. Really, really great driving on display. It just goes to show the caliber of the drivers in today's event.
Yeah, there's only about 3 big incidents that we saw, and it was a very clean race. They had 2 retirees. They were both from the same incident. But other than those 3 incidents, we got the flower bed, we got the hairpin chaos, and then we had turning onto Pine Avenue between Crestwood and Sam Gorski. Yeah, just 3 that I can name. And usually when we come to Long Beach, it is a lot more than that. But all these drivers, they knew which track they were at. They all took their time with it. and it was a very impressive showing from Josh Stewart and Sergio Macias as they finished 1-2 here today. But Josh Stewart on a return race is back into victory lane.
And a welcome return to victory lane for Josh Stewart, really soaking in that end lap. Of course, you don't have to do it in iRacing. There's a handy button that just skates you back to the pits, but you always tend to find that when the drivers win, you get to do a little bit of a donut as well with teammate Jason Sieg right behind him. It's a little bit.
You gotta burn it down.
Is it a donut though when you have to find reverse gear? Oh, it's a little bit of a road traffic collision on the apex of turn 11. We're very close there, Austin, to having to get insurance documents out.
As long as it's a circle, it's a donut. It could be a wide donut, it could be a bad donut, but a circle is a circle, a donut's a donut. Josh Stewart is burning it down as he wins the race here. That is Sergio Macias, Jason Sieg, I'm Kevin, Ben Holko, Cal Young, Marcos Alarcon, Yuki Shirakawa, Simon Graff, James Mallow, and Daniel Gallis, followed by Dennis Cornu, Yaya, Ennis, Ankin, Miguel Crespo, and Eddie Samborski at the end of our 15-car grid as you are standing by with our race winner, Josh Stewart.
I certainly am.
Oh, hi.
Josh Stewart, welcome back to the commentary booth. Oh, that looked fairly fun out there. Talk us through it.
I don't know about fun. It was a lot of pressure from Sergio for the last, I don't know, it felt like 20 laps. He had great pace, but it's really hard to overtake here. So I just had to keep it together, avoid the chaos in front of me. There was a few cars going off and rejoining into T1. That was a little scary. But man, this is my first win in the broadcast race, so I'm so stoked. And it's my first race back since the end of last season. Very first race back. So, got the adrenaline pumping. Sorry, guys.
No, don't apologise whatsoever. That looked so good from you out there today. If we can go back to the start of the race, how crucial was it to get away well? How much were you focusing on that start? Because that really allowed you to lead the race and get past Eddie, who was going to be your main competition for the race win today. How much of an emphasis did you put on practicing for the start this week?
Yeah, as I said before, this track is really hard to overtake on. Even if you have a decent delta, maybe even up to 0.3 a lap, it's still really hard to overtake. So it was pretty crucial to get there in front of Eddie at the start. I almost lost it just after the roundabout, and I think Eddie closed up. But yeah, it's a little bit of a blur, but that certainly was really crucial. And then he made a mistake, and that sort of put the pressure off a little bit. There was a 2-second gap, I think, to Sergio for the first maybe 6 laps, and then he started chipping away at that. He had some really good pace, especially in the first and middle sector. But I just had enough traction out of the last hairpin and down the main straight to keep him at arm's length. So, yeah, just stoked.
I can certainly imagine you are, and congratulations on your first race win in the broadcast split. Before we let you go, Josh, and celebrate, which I'm sure you're wanting to do, is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out to as a race winner?
Yeah, I mean, this has been a long journey. I've been pretty much racing this series almost every season since the beginning. I've had race wins and whatnot outside of the broadcast, but never managed to put it together. I think last season I lost to Eddie by 0.3 after leading most of the race at Monza. Likewise at Canada, and there's a few that I just got really close. So big thanks to the team, Downforce Racing. I mean, those guys, the guys there now, Jason, Mig, they're what team members should be. They help throughout the week with setup. We do some practices with race starts and into T1 just to try and game plan some things out. So massive thanks to those guys, and not only Jason, Mig, but everyone at Downforce Racing who races other categories as well. Everyone's helping out. Teddy. So yeah, I'm just stoked. So thanks very much, guys. Always look forward to watching the broadcasts, and it's been a great season, hasn't it? Some different winners, some different stuff happening. So fantastic stuff. Thanks, guys. Take care.
Take care to you as well, Joshua Stewart, your race winner here today. Congratulations to you, Josh. Austin, have you managed to find another driver anywhere?
Yes, I am. I did. I am. I found Jason C.
Yes, Jason.
Hi, Jason. You finished third here today. It was a up and down day, I would say, for a few of the drivers. You had a pretty okay start. You started in the second row, and you got to see all the craziness up ahead of you and around you. But how is driving around Long Beach?
Yeah, wow. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Lots of bumps. It was pretty hard following Ben. I think maybe the net code just here in Australia, like it looked like he was bouncing off every wall, especially the really tight high speed ones. So like it looked like he was having a crash, and then all of a sudden his car would teleport 50 meters up the road and be fine. So so that was pretty hard work just to sort of get close and get ready for a pass on the straight. So yeah.
So not only you had to deal with Long Beach factor, you also had to deal with a time machine factor as well.
Yeah, like I'm sure he was, hitting all the marks and driving perfectly, but just from where I was looking, just bouncing all over the place, and I'm just going, wow, like was that a crash or was that a net codes? So just
Well,
really,
I feel like next race will be a lot easier. We are at Road America. Before we let you go to practice for Road America, we do say in America here for next race. Anybody you want to thank?
yeah, let Downforce Racing, Joshy did a ton of work and Miguel as well with setup work this week, and yeah, I think it was just spot on. So awesome, thank you to those guys. Great work. Also, mum and dad will be watching. Yeah, all the regular 3.5 guys. Yeah, and just looking forward to next week. We'll see what happens and see how it goes out there.
Awesome. Well, congrats on a great race and congrats on another podium, Jason. As we go to Sebastian, who is standing by with Eddie Samborski.
Oh,
Yeah, I
can we not
managed
do
to.
a third place? What was the last place interview? Do we need one? Really?
We need to chat. Eddie Samporski has decided to come and have a chat in the commentary booth, and I think we should
But
listen.
normally they're the big rants. I mean, when he can't win. Oh, do the viewers really want to listen to it?
I'm sure they do. Thank you so much, Jason, and we wish you well for 1 week's time, as
Okay.
we will just get Eddie Samborski into the commentary booth. Eddie, only got time for a quick interview, but you had pole position here today. You had the pace. We were talking last week about how you were going to focus on that, and it just didn't go to plan in the race today. But some positives to be taken away from today.
Oh yeah, I set 2 world records, one in the race and then one in qualifying. You guys got to witness it. So I mean, both today, so that's pretty cool. So I guess it's and to be clear, your finishing position shouldn't really matter for an interview. And I had some time here to analyze. I just want to explain before people get all up in arms. I don't mean to cut you off. I'm trying to be quick. Lap one, I hit the bump and my car was hooked up, then it wasn't. So I guess I should have been a little more easy on the throttle. I mean, I wasn't doing anything that I wouldn't have done any other lap. And then the thing with Miguel, I was braking later than him, and I don't know how or why, but his car got big and I panicked and it was stupid. I should have just stayed behind him and slowed the car down. I would have been fine. But when his car got big, my instinct was to go left. And if you turn these cars off the gas, you're going to spin. So I stayed in the gas. And because I stayed in the gas, I overshot the mark. And, it's a necessary evil. So, I mean, in hindsight, I wish I just would have been a 10th back. I mean, I had plenty of room. I could have slowed down behind him, but I just freaked out in the moment. And you know what? Nobody's perfect. So I just want to say that, it wasn't a pass attempt. It was me trying not to hit him, but I made the wrong decision. And I mean, I was pushing, obviously, So the start wasn't ideal. I backed off so I wouldn't spin. And then I'm holding my line, and the guy in first place is trying to drive into me. So, I backed off to let him go, but I shouldn't have to. And I've been preaching this for a while. And you know what? It was a good drive, but undeserving for people who drive like that. It really bothers me. I think there should be some sort of time penalty. It should be P2 because if one guy's holding his line and another guy isn't, it's like, what are you doing? Are you trying to create a crash? So that's all.
Well, thank you so much, Eddie, for coming to talk to us in the commentary booth and to explain what happened in your race. And I'll see you in 1 week's time when we head to Road America, and hopefully we'll see you back out and able to fight for another race victory.
Yeah, today should have been a win. No discredit to any of the field, but if I run this back on my own and I got 15 seconds on him easily, I would have been clicking 108s probably by lap 7. So it's annoying, but I did it to myself, so I'll just try to come back stronger.
Brilliant. Well, we will see you in 1 week's time. Thank you so much, Eddie, for coming to chat with us in the commentary booth. And Austin, wow, what a race we've had today. What an interview section that we've had today as well. And I'm going to do it all over again in 1 week's time.
Yeah, we head to Road America next week, and it's going to be a lot of fun for us up here in the booth, all the drivers down there on track, and everybody here on Apex Racing TV. It's going to be an amazing next week for all of us here for the iRacing Formula 3.5 Championship. And it's going to be a lot of fun as we say goodbye from Long Beach. I've been joined by Sebastian Bosher-Williams with John Robertson in the production booth, and I'm Austin Knight, and I hope y'all have a good night.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.